So Anurag is the founder of OneCard, this concept of experienced founders. And Anurag kind of defines it, and I'm going to quiz Anurag on one, two of these things. But first of all, building in domain. You've been in credit cards for the longest period of time. Did you consider other domains, or was it?
So I think we did consider others, but the opportunity here was too compelling. So
Yeah.
we said, probably we'll focus on that. But we did broad base our market definition rather than saying we are, we should define our problem as a consumption credit rather than just a credit card product.
Yeah. And I think for the audience, for me, and Anurag, you and I have spoken about this a few times, startups are destined to fail, sadly. So as a founder, one's job is to actually stack odds in one's favor. And to me, working in one's domain, ultimately it's a game of knowns and unknowns. And the unknowns shrink and don't surprise you. So, no surprise. The second thing I remember chatting with you is I'm not going to take market risk. And relatedly, you were chasing very deep profit pools of credit. Where did this thinking, did you work in segments where you struggled to get into a deep market? How was it that I'm not going to take this market risk and profit to hona chahiye?
So, like slightly cliched answer. If you want to build a long-term company, you have to go after large profit pool, because I think we all agree that India is full of talented teams and technology is making things even more easier. I think developing solution is becoming easier and easier. So idea is that, if you're going after, with lots of talented team after the pool has to be large enough for us to share.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what drove us. The second thing is, especially which is more relevant for our category, the penetration is so low, you got to plan big.
Yeah.
There's no price for being small player in financial services. It's as simple as that.
And relatedly, when you go after large markets, the other thing I find unique about you and other experienced founders is they don't talk about PMF. They talk about GTM. So it sounds like deep market mein kare to PMF to aa hi jayega, right? Is that the logic?
Absolutely. See, India is so layered. Even like at every level there is a large market.
Yeah.
Even if we'll talk about, let's say, so our GDP per capita is close to $2,500, depending on which number you believe in. Even if you add the black portion of the economy, it's around close to $2,500 to $3,000. The point is, within that, if you split it, you have got like 50 to 100 million people who are at $9,000, $10,000 GDP per capita. They're like Chinese market.
Yeah.
Okay. So the product market fit
will
happen at certain segments.
Yeah.
But the idea is that at what GTM, at what cost, because that's when the scale will happen.
Yeah.
I think, I've listened to some of your podcasts where you talked about PMF, then,
Scalable
PMF and profitable
PMF.
PMF.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that, GTM solves these two things at one point. So this is a tool to solve for that. And the earlier you think about go to market in India, it's much, because
I'm so grateful that someone like him listens to our podcast. But actually, taking another cut at this, one other thought I have on this is, if you look at markets which are deep and wide, financial services is a market which is deep and wide. Consumer brands are a market that's deep and wide. So if you are able to own a slice of the customer, it's a very valuable company. Slice of a customer is GTM. Absolutely. How do you get to, why would that customer come to you?
Absolutely.
Right?
And and there is a sequence also here.
Yeah.
You first go deep, then you go wide.
Yeah, exactly.
And that GTM actually helps us do that.
Yeah.
And that because, and I would say, we also came from the, large organizations where we had the luxury of distribution channels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we always over obsessed about it.
Yeah.
Because if you have to build scale, you have to think of distribution on day zero.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because just to give you things in context, like 2,000 crore, 3,000 crore personal loan is nothing if you compare to banks.
Yeah.
So while for fintech this could be a large number, so we have to say that, okay, forget about it today, probably doing 500 crores. Will we ever do 5,000 crores?
Yeah.
Will we ever do 10,000 crores? Yeah. How will you compete against that large distribution setup?
And now we are doing 16,000 crores.
So that's why the GTM was so important for us.
Next one we covered in our OneCard company building journey is followership. So you started with 2 people you knew forever, but that has continued, right? And in your view, it's very important in building for scale. So say more about this, just
So I think two thick concepts to talk about here is one is a huge belief in reference hiring. I don't think 1 hour, 2 hour of interviews can do justice on either side. Either they expect an understanding about us. It is very rare, and especially if you're building a long-term company. But I would say the second important piece of this is alignment of goals. I'm like slightly different thought, but I think capabilities can be built. Alignment is not.
Very good.
Alignment is extremely important. So if people have worked with you, know you, either directly or indirectly,
Yeah.
okay, it's easier to get that.
Yeah.
Capabilities will get built. It's
Yeah.
not a big deal.
Yeah. Then comes to, we actually call it independently wealthy, but I remember asking you what your market value was at that time. I don't know if I've told you this as that this was a test. I knew your market value was a few crores in terms of if you went and took a job. And I looked at the spreadsheet that you had sent of how much salary you guys were paying yourselves. It was like 1 lakh a month or something like that. And to me, how did you think about this trade-off? That, I mean, your market value was 3, 4, 5 crores and you want to start a business with 12 lakhs.
I think what consumed us was the size of the opportunity. We knew that this is gonna change. We didn't care. Idea was that, so okay, I think to a certain extent we have spent quite a good amount of time in large companies, so we are fairly well settled. But the idea was for us to challenge ourselves because we were consumed by the larger, the large opportunity out there we were solving for.
Yeah.
And since these things didn't matter.
And you sold the shares you were holding to buy more in your own company.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's very easy. I mean, of course, touch wood, my alma mater stocks are also going up big time. I continue to hold good stock there, but idea was that I was more sure about this performance because I was driving it directly. So that's why.
Super. Last one, which is playing the long game. So not going to sell the company. What's the goal?
Oh, absolutely not. I think, the opportunity is so large, the company has to outlast us.
Very
if
good.
you ask me.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. For more Matrix Moments episodes, you can head to www.matrixpartners.in/matrixmoments. You can also follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube for more updates.